Hello and welcome to another episode of the Hello Hosty podcast. Today we are joined by Ernesto Lacayo of Acomodo Rentals, a luxury vacation rentals company based out of Central America, Panama, with 73 luxury vacation rentals on their books. Ernesto, thank you for joining us. Perhaps we should...
Thank you so much, Clive, for having me on your show. It's a pleasure to be here.
You're most welcome. Should we perhaps start with a bit of information about the type of properties that you manage? What kind of homes are you managing there?
Sure. Well, we were actually, we started during the pandemic. As most people know, beach rentals during the pandemic were experiencing a very high occupation. People were trying to leave the cities, and we made my wife and I, who is also my partner, we made a family decision to move out to the beach, to a beach apartment that we had been renting for about 4 years as the only property we were renting. And we decided to move into that apartment in the beach area. And that decision literally saved our lives. It saved and changed our lives. It saved in the sense that we're going crazy in the city. People, couldn't leave their apartments, couldn't leave their homes, and people were just looking for air, looking for space. And we made that decision with a 1.5-year-old daughter at the time, who would look out the window, for hours, wondering when she could leave the house. And right then and there, I said, we need to get out of here. So we decided to move out to the beach area, to our apartment. And we had always thought about going into this business. This is something that actually during the first few months of the pandemic, I spent countless hours just, taking courses, online courses, all sorts of courses. But then when we made that decision, we didn't have in mind to start this business out there. We were just making a family decision. But, as people moved out to their beach apartments and beach properties, and they put some money into their properties, there was this remodeling boom during the pandemic. And then as the pandemic started ending, a lot of these properties were being left empty. And we just saw an opportunity to start this business right and then. We actually, before making that decision, we moved back to the city just like most people did. My wife is a realtor. I worked back then in the family business. And when unemployment grows as fast as it did during the pandemic, Panama had one of the strictest pandemic constraints in the world, literally. Okay. What do mid-class unemployed people ventured into typically? Either real estate or insurance. So my wife, being a realtor, we moved back to the city, and she was really having a hard time trying to build her client base. And I told her, why are we focusing on the city? Let's move back to the beach area. And that's where the opportunity is. Let's start this business. And we made that decision right then and there. We were fortunate enough that we were able to start up with 4 properties that were very good properties. 2 of them were tree cabins that my mom had personally built with her own hands a few years back. And it was really a struggle to convince her to be able to manage those properties. But once we did, we were able to have a unique stay right away. These amazing, beautiful tree cabins were a hook for clients, for guests back then. And then, obviously our unit as well, and then a couple of other units from neighbors. And that's how we started. We started with 4 or 5 properties, and we just started growing. We just started growing and putting a lot of work into this and gaining people's trust. And in a little over a year, we are at 73 properties, and wow. We're going to be at around 120 in a matter of a few months.
Wow, so, that's rapid growth. Rapid growth. Well done. Well done. You guys must work very hard. I was going to ask you, a lot of people, they quickly go from like 1 property to 2, but this jump of let's say 5 to 10. Can you tell us about how that happened for you? How did you go from 5 to 10 properties?
Well, basically, word started spread out. Like I said, I mean, a lot of people had put a lot of money into their properties during the pandemic, and then they moved back. So people were conscious of how much, money they had spent. And like I mentioned before, we had this one property, our own beach property, that we had been renting since 2017. So a lot of our neighbors and friends just started contacting us like, hey, how do you put your property on Airbnb, and how can you monetize your property when you're not using it? And we right then and there we knew that we had acquired enough experience to be able to advise, but not professionally. We were still learning, and we still are. You never stop learning in this business. You learn every single day. The day you stop learning, you're gonna fall back to your competitors. You always have to reinvent yourself. And so that way, we just started getting calls from people. Hey, I'm a friend of such and such. I know you helped them, make to make their properties, make some income, and can you help us? And we said, of course. And that's, and the word just started spreading out. And, when you're at 5 properties, it's very exciting. It's like everything's new, and you're falling in love with the business. When you're at 10 properties, you're like, all right, this is really cool. We're growing, we just doubled our size. Then when you get to around 15 or 20, you're like, this is getting a little bit complicated. I'm having less and less time for myself, for my family. And but then you're riding a wave that that's the kind of the make or break point right then. Because when we reach 30, that's when we realized we needed help. At 30, the fun was taken out of it a little bit, but the excitement was twice as much, because we knew we were building something. And then when we reached 30 properties, that was the number where I told my wife, I said, this is where we need to build a team. We can't do this on our own.
So before 30, sorry to interrupt, before 30, you didn't have the team before 30?
No, we actually just had one person that helped us with reservations. We found a digital nomad living in Cancun and all over Mexico, where we contacted her, and she spoke 3 languages, and we needed help with the reservations and communication with guests. So that was the one team member we had back then. And then we also had a little bit of help with maintenance people. But I mean, we have clean toilets. We have done all sorts of things when needed. When the housekeeping lady doesn't show up, it's you that has to clean the toilet. When the maintenance person doesn't show up, it's you that has to fix the issues.
Yeah.
I remember
the joys of being a business owner, right?
Yes. And there was this one time where when a guest left the keys in the apartment, and we didn't have a spare set of keys, and it was 3 a.m. We literally had to get a firefighter staircase. I don't know if that's said correctly.
Ladder.
Yes, a ladder. Yes, and I was climbing up this ladder. I made the mistake of looking down when I was maybe on the 4th floor, and I looked down. I said, "Man, I'm a father." By then, my daughter was 3. I said, "What am I doing? What if I fall down?" But this, you just keep grinding. You just, you have your goals set in mind, and we're really shooting for the stars here. When honestly, Clive, when you contacted me a few weeks ago, my first reaction was, I'm not ready to do this interview. And I told you that because I feel that we are not even at 1% of what our dreams are striving to. And we, this is something that has taken over our lives, but in a good way, because we maintain a very specific goal in mind. This is a business is an avenue or a way to achieve the kind of lifestyle that we want to live. And I tell my wife all the time, we are doing this business to be able to live the life that our guests live. We want to live just like them. I've had numerous conversations with guests that come by our properties that have really put a stamp on, on what it's really important in life. We had a guest of an amazing couple that came by, and they were, homeschooling their kids and just traveling the world. And they decided to stop for a month in Panama, and they stayed in one of our properties. And I had a long conversation with them where I said, "Man, I want to live like you. This is what I want to do." And obviously, to be able to do that, you have to scale, but also you have to implement a team and you have to implement technologies. And like I mentioned before, when we get to that number 30 property, we started building a team, but that's when reality also punched us in the face. In Panama, the beach area enjoys a high season basically from mid-December till late May. In late May is when we hit 30 property, or in early May is when we hit 30 properties. And that's when we decided to grow the team and hire people. But then May came around and brought a reality check in that the occupancy dropped so much that, you know, two things coincided: occupancy dropping and a team growing. So our expenses grew considerably. And that was a huge lesson for me because I had to reach into my pocket and, you know, put money into the business. And right then and there, I made the decision that we needed to go into the city. We needed to find properties in an area where occupancy is more stable. So basically, I think that was the right decision. I know that was the right decision because that really pushed us to consolidate this operation. And now we're one of the fastest. We're the fastest growing company in Panama, one of the biggest companies in Panama. So we're very, very proud of where we're at, but we're nowhere near where we know we can go.
I think you guys should be very proud of where you're at. I mean, obviously, I talk to a lot of people through this podcast, and I hear about a lot of rapid growth. But the growth level you've made over such a short time, like it's something to be proud of. And it leads me to the question of like let's say if you were to say to somebody else one key factor that has attributed to your success in this rapid growth, what would that key factor be?
We are relentless. We are relentless. We are very service oriented. I come from a business background where this has been a competitive advantage throughout everything we have done in our lives. And that's the one thing that we always keep in mind. We have three customers in this business, basically. Number one, and I'm gonna even name them in the order of priority. Number one is the property owner. To us, he is everything in that he provides a property for Acomodo to do what we do, and we have to keep them happy. And that's a relationship that every single day we work on. It's some, you know, when we approach a property owner, we don't just tell them the things he wants to hear. You know, that level of service has to be maintained throughout the whole process, not just you know, when there's an interest to acquire or to add his property, but throughout the process of managing that property. So that is hugely important to us. Number two is the guest. You know, they're paying for an experience. They're paying for a stay where they want to enjoy a nice experience. And for us, that is very flattering in that tourism is starting to become a way for Panama to also climb out of this hole where we were in the pandemic. And, you know, for us, it's an honor to be able to receive people from all over the world that choose Panama as their vacation destination, and they choose our property. So we have an obligation to provide them the best possible stay possible. And the third is the community. And people often forget about that. You know, you can have a property owner who doesn't care if if somebody throws a bachelor party in their house, they're going to receive a lot of money. You can have the guests that threw the bachelor party, they're going to be fine. But then you have the community. You get a letter the next day saying, hey, there was a situation in this unit, and, you know, just with the signature of a pen, you can lose that property and lose that relationship with the property owner. So it's something that all those three clients, all those three customers, we take care of them very, very much.
Yeah, superb. So there's kind of like the triangle of the three stakeholders, if you will, in this business, between the property owner, the guest, and the community. Interesting. Very interesting. So with so many properties, how do you keep track of all of your bookings and all of your guests?
Well, I mean, we use various technologies. Now we've grown our call center, our reservations department. to a team that now we speak 5 languages in our call center: English, Spanish, French, Dutch, and Mandarin.
Mandarin also.
Yes. We use various technologies as well. We rely on technology very, very much, but still that human touch, it's very much needed. We have also implemented a structure that, honestly, to me, Clive, it came very natural, because it was a structure in a much different kind of business where I was in before. I was in the financial sector, but basically we have implemented that same structure, which is sort of a franchise model, where we have regional coordinators that coordinate their respective areas, and Acomodo just provides them with all the support they need. Every staff member in Acomodo works towards making that region better, whether it be marketing, accounting, digital development. We're always thinking, how can we help those regions out? And we empower those regional coordinators to be able to do the things they do, because they know the properties and their areas very well. And, we need to listen to them. That's one piece of advice that I've really learned along the way. I think you have to be a little bit stubborn enough to trust your intuition, but also to be able to listen and to listen to your employees. I'm 43 years old. I'm the oldest person in the company. Everybody in Acomodo is younger than me, including my wife. And I just listen to them. I ask them, what do you think about this? How does this marketing material look? Does this appeal to you? And we just listen to them and make sure that we take their opinion seriously and implement the changes when needed.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make a bit of a, not correction, but just a clarification. When we started in this business, we were catering basically to luxury properties in the beach area. We have diversified that portfolio now to have a much more variety of properties. We have beach properties where we have luxury villas, we have apartments, we have condos, we have mountain stays now. We just went into a region of Panama where we're gonna get into also mountain properties, and then in the city, we have apartments, we have whole building blocks. We have there was a client of ours that wanted to convert an old hotel into a short-term rental building, and we went in. We actually did something very fun there. It was a building with 12 units, and I was thinking, how can we do something different here to kind of make this stand out? And we created an internal competition. Back then we had literally 12 employees, including maintenance, and every employee was in charge of furnishing and decorating a unit. So we did an internal competition.
Oh, wow.
Where people would propose a theme for their respective apartments, and we curated different categories where we would judge them. For instance, one of them was, every unit needs to have an Instagrammable spot within the unit. That was one of the areas where we judged the results. And it was a very intense competition, but very fun at the same time. And the end result was amazing.
Yeah.
But that was also a very big learning experience, because that was when we also ventured into economy stays, or budget stays. So now we have 3 different, property classes. We have the luxury properties where they're above $800 per night. We have the vinyl collection. We call it vinyl collection because we placed an old record vinyl player in each unit to kind of differentiate them or stand out as the vinyl collection. And that's the thick of our properties, probably about 70%. And then we have the economy section, but we called it the Modo selection, MODO.
Fashion.
Yes. So, we've been very clever also with names and
branding,
and things that we use. So we're always trying to kind of reinvent ourselves in that regard.
So what do you spend most of your time doing as a host?
Working on strengthening relationships with property owners.
Okay, very good. Yeah, that's interesting. So it's supporting
Yes.
one of the three three pillars of the triangle that we spoke about earlier. Yeah.
Yes.
And
yes.
in the spirit of this
Yes.
podcast, we aim to serve hosts in general. So I aim to extract one tip or hack, if you like, that makes your business life easier. Do you have any recommendations for other hosts?
Well, look, this is a business in which there are no secrets. I can list all of the softwares and things that we use, and we use a PMS, we use dynamic pricing, we use Notion, we use Zapier, we use different kinds of tools that are very common in this business. But this is a business that has no secrets. You can even know what another host is making. There are no secrets in this business. It's just a matter of doing them. Go spend those tireless hours, working on this, and go clean that toilet. It's something that secrets in this business are not secrets anymore. Everybody knows the different tools and technologies that are available. It's just a matter of putting in the work and making sure that your customers are happy. All three of them: property owner, guest, community.
Great response. Great response. So the hack is basically work hard and look after the people that are involved. I like it. Yeah.
Yes, I know it's a very generic answer, but I mean
I don't think it was generic. I think it was a great response. It was a great response. Yeah, because I'm of the same idea in my work life. It's you got to make it happen, or you got to make it happen. You've only got one option, and that is go forward. So it's a great response. So looking back, what advice would you give to your former self when you first started?
Oh man, that's an interesting question. Don't lose track of what's most important, and family is most important. I am doing this business with my wife. She should be on this call. She doesn't speak English, so I have to kind of translate, but I'm speaking on behalf of both. We are very, very proud of what we have done, but we can't lose track that we're still a family and that we need to separate, work life from family life. And that's difficult. That's very difficult because, you can be sitting in bed, about to go to sleep, and then here I am like, hey, we need to do this and this and this and this tomorrow. And we need to be able to separate work life from family life, and that has been challenging at times. We are putting so much work and effort and passion into this, but you can never lose track of why you're doing it. And we're not doing this for economic reasons. Yes, we strive. We've set very high goals for ourselves. Like I said, I mean, I want this business to be able to provide for my family, and I would love for my daughter to go to school at Harvard. Harvard's very expensive, so we have to shoot very high. But we're going up against competitors that have millions of dollars in funding, and we have been able to do more than they have, honestly, with a fraction of their budget. And nobody can measure how much passion and work and love you put into something. So
sweat equity. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So Ernesto, if people would like to find out more about you and about Acomodo Rentals, how will they do this?
Well, you can find us on our website, acomodorentals.com. You can also find us on social media, Acomodo Rentals. Acomodo is Acomodo. Acomodo in Spanish means to accommodate. So that was a kind of clever way to name the company. But then modo, in our name, it's a mode by which we do things differently. You can find us on social media and our website, and we'll be happy to answer any questions that anybody may have about what we're doing. And if anybody finds what we've done interesting and it can help somebody else, whether it's a guest or a host or anybody, we would be more than happy to do that.
Excellent. Ernesto, thank you so much for your time today. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you.
Thank you so much, Clive, for your time.
Most
And
welcome.
remember, you're welcome in Panama anytime.
I'm coming. I'll cut the podcast there, Ernesto. You might have seen me writing a lot. You gave me so much stuff to like, so many great clips that we're going to make from this. It's an absolute pleasure to hear of your story as well. And I share the same thought as you. I have the same sort of attitude towards my work. You've got one direction, go, and it means you've got to solve whatever problems or challenges that your business might throw at you, whatever time of day it is, whatever else you've got going on. This thing's got to get solved. And it's great to hear your story. You talk with so much energy about it. Like, yeah, good for you, man. Good for you. But
Thank you. And I've practiced English in a long time, so
your
I'm
English
sure
is
there are a lot
perfect.
of
Yeah, your English is perfect.
no, not typos. That's not the right word. Mistakes. But I hope people can understand my.
No, your English is just fine. It's just fine. But yeah, so I'll tell you a bit about my business world. Like I run House of Bookings, a luxury vacation rental management company. We've got 63 villas that we manage globally, Asia, Portugal, Spain, France, London, all over the place. I've been doing this for about 13 years now, and it's great to hear somebody else's story. You've managed to make rapid growth, and I've kind of, my business has evolved and it's taken different shapes throughout the years because of different turning events in the world, whether that be volcanoes, riots, pandemics, all kinds of things. But it's fantastic to hear your story. I mean, at the moment we're in the process of shifting a bit. We're building some software of our own to help us manage our properties, like a property management system. I'll let you know once that's out. You'll be more than welcome to use it. But yeah,
one very last thing I just wanted to mention very quickly. We have diversified Acomodo to be basically 4 services now. Acomodo Rentals, obviously, is what we have spoken about. Acomodo Services is all the services that we provide to the guest, anywhere from private chef events to e-bike rentals to surfing lessons. Then we have Acomodo Design, which is something that we started in late 2022, where we have a team now, an architect in-house, where we do remodelings from scratch. We have received properties that are not even that finished, and we have done all of the work to be able to get them ready and up and running for rentals in a matter of 10 days.
Awesome.
And then the last thing that we're launching now is Acomodo Properties, which is our sales division. In the middle of last year, I had a realtor show up at one of our properties, and he called me and he said, "Hey, Ernesto, I need to show this property. Can you give me the door code?" And once he went in the house, he was calling me to ask me how he could turn on the pool lights and all that. And I said, "What am I doing? I know that house inside out. Why don't I sell that house?" We have an excellent relationship with the property owner. We have professional photography of every property. We have all these resources and the knowledge to be able to sell that house. So we are now starting the 4th division, which is Acomodo Properties. And like I said, awesome. We're shooting for the stars. We're also going to venture into Colombia. We're doing an alliance with a company out there. We're gonna add over 400 properties in Colombia.
Yeah.
And then we're also this is kind of an experiment that we're trying. I have a niece who I love very dearly, and she's living in Spain now with her boyfriend. She just graduated from college. She's having a hard time finding a job. She called me a few weeks ago and she said, "Hey, uncle, I love what you do. I would love to do what you do here in Spain." And I said, "Maria, I'll help you out. Everything you need, I'll give you all the support." But now we're starting to think, how can we create this franchise model internationally? So now we're having meetings with lawyers and all sorts of stakeholders to be able to implement a scheme or a structure where we can also help that that property that host that wants to manage 3, 5, 10 houses. If I had an Acomodo when we started with those 5 properties, we would have saved a lot of money, and the learning curve would have been much better. So I think there's an opportunity to be able to share what we do with hosts that are starting, 2, 3, 5, 10 properties,
Yeah.
and we can provide some back office and some support to be able to help them out.
Well, perhaps it's a good idea. I was thinking when you first got on the call, and you were telling me about your ambitions, I was thinking, well, maybe we should catch up again in, a couple of months and have a bit of an update as to your progress, because you're moving rapidly, and it's interesting to see how quickly you've moved from zero to where you are now. But let's see what happens for you over the next 3 months, and perhaps on the next call we can talk more about the franchising of Acomodo.
Sure, would love to,
Yeah,
Clive.
yeah.
Thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure hearing your energy and your drive. It's been really inspirational.
Thank you very much, Clive. I'm really honored and flattered that you saw something interesting in us to be able to share in this conversation. And thank you so much. I look forward to speaking to you in the future.
Yeah. Cheers, Ernesto. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Ciao.